Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Film Odyssey podcast, Milestone episode number 3. That's right, we're 30 movies in to this massive fucking list of movies to watch, and we're gonna figure out how we like them, where would we rank them, because we have objectively right opinions about everything.
And better hair than you.
And better hair than you. Yes, we get it, Randy. You brush your hair 100 times a day to make sure it sheens perfectly. No.
You don't brush your hair 100 times a day. Come on now.
That is a fool's game.
Fool's game, exactly.
But yeah, so we watched 30 movies on the AFI Top 100. We're going to be ranking everything from number 100 up to 71. So any thoughts on this this batch of 10 we just watched? Because we watched everything from 80 to 71.
It's getting better.
It's getting better?
The average quality of the movies is definitely increasing.
Was these 70s better than the 80s? Because I think the 80s were a rough run for you.
Yeah, I think in the 80s we had a lot of stuff like Bringing Up Baby, Titanic.
Well, Titanic and Spartacus were...
The Apartment.
I
didn't like that movie at all.
I'm so surprised The Apartment was the one you didn't like.
I didn't like it.
You had a vitriolic reaction to The Apartment.
I did. I had a knee-jerk reaction.
But yeah, I think the 70s gave us a little bit more stuff to work with. We got The Wild Bunch out of that. We got All the President's Men, In the Heat of the Night, Silence of the Lambs, Shawshank
Butch,
Redemption.
Cassidy, Saving Private Ryan even.
I'm excited to go through this one. And we actually did a scientific method to figure out where all these movies rank in on this.
Very scientific.
Very scientific.
We broke the list down so that we could then break the list down.
Yes. So, I mean, Randy, as it goes, we have objectively right opinions about everything.
No, I do.
No, I do.
No.
No, sir.
No.
Oh, no.
No, you can't steal my meme. That's mine.
That's your meme?
That's mine. I claim ownership of that. I'm the one with the objectively correct opinions about everything, and I have better hair than you.
Interesting. I just know everything. I'm just the know-it-all asshole that talks too fast on our episodes.
Yes.
But yeah, so
might as well just get into it,
Yeah, fuck it, why not? So the first movie we have here, the bottom of the list.
Yep.
The worst of the worst movie we've seen so far. Sorry, Charlie. It's Modern Times.
Charlie Chaplin. I was not expecting this when I saw that our next movie was going to be a Charlie Chaplin movie.
Me either. Going into it, because I like Charlie Chaplin movies.
I've heard nothing but good things about his movies.
I guess the caveat, because ranking these, none of these movies are awful.
No.
None of them are Lords of Salem or fucking Troll 2.
Or Troll 2,
yeah. These are all great movies. It's just,
whoa.
They're all good movies.
They're at least alright.
They're all at least alright. And this is like an alright movie. I mean, for
right.
the movie being like 90 years old, holds up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, considering that it does hold up pretty well, it's not unwatchable or anything. It's just meh.
The movie is,
it's nothing
for me,
that impressive.
It's a 2-gag movie. In the factory, there's gold in there, and the ending is probably like when he's in the restaurant doing like the song and dance routine. The movie's 2 gags, and everything in the middle is so whatever. Yeah. So there's some good bits in there, but they're so long and far between.
And the same bits get just repeated over and over and over.
Yeah, there was there was not a lot of discipline in the editing room.
And then, you factor in, like, when the movie came out, and you're like, oh, well, this isn't actually that, like, poignant of a take anymore. I thought this movie came out, like, 10 years prior.
But for when it does come out, it cements itself as, like, the last traditional silent film ever made. It's the end of the era. It's the last time Charlie Chaplin is the tramp. So it's the end of that era, and he's, like, the most iconic movie star of the silent era. It has a lot of historical context, but it as a movie is a hard watch.
I also feel like in the historical context, it doesn't, like, deserve its place that much, because we can already, like, signify the end of the silent era without the last silent movie, and more with, like, the first, the first
sound
films,
Yeah.
Like, most people consider the first sound films as, like, more the end of the silent era than Modern Times.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, Charlie Chaplin was the only director that held on this adamantly to silent film techniques. Most other directors moved over.
Well, like 7 years? This is like 7 years or something like that after the end of the era.
Yeah, so Jazz Singer is 27 and Modern Times is 36.
So actually, what, 9 years?
9 years. It took 9 years
Almost
for him to
a
finally
decade.
pass it. But that's neither here nor there. We're going to get to a lot more Chaplin on this list, and
hopefully they're going to be a lot better.
I think by the time we get to the Gold Rush, you're going to be back in. I think you're going to be back in with Chaplin.
I just kind of doubt that they're going to live up to other comedy, or the other comedy movie that we've seen so far with Night of the Opera.
You love the Marx Brothers?
I really, really enjoyed that movie. It's just such a nice watch.
It is a nice watch, and I can't wait for us to get to more, because we're getting Duck Soup on here. That's another Marx Brothers, but
yes.
But this was Modern Times, the bottom of our list, number 30. And number 29, the former worst movie we watched so far, Bringing Up Baby.
Yeah, it's been supplanted.
It has been supplanted in the worst way.
Which I feel like we might... I mean, I'm not sure if it would change its position on the list at all, but I think we may have come down a little hard on Bringing Up Baby.
The movie's biggest problem is the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes just sets the movie up for failure.
But then the rest of the movie rallies hard. By the end of the movie, it's back into like a great comedy.
Yeah, at the near the end of the movie, it's the jokes start hitting. You know, it's got a slow build up for that. Like, it feels really like they must have like shot in chronological order. You know,
in sequence. Yeah,
they shot in sequence, and the actors were kind of like getting into the groove of it as it went along. You know,
because it's trying to set up as this speedball, fast comedy, screwball comedy.
Yeah.
But the gags in the first 15 just don't
cringe.
They're super cringe. They don't land very well now for a modern viewer. And they start landing later and they start getting better, but it's so wishy-washy. It's a movie where I only laughed at the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And like the movie's 90 minutes long, you know, so I got like an hour of me just sitting there waiting for the gag. It's a hard one. This might deserve a rewatch.
It's got some good gags, you know, where she throws the sock into the fire. When they fall into the river.
You know, every time when the leopard's on screen, and you know he's just like, "Am I drunk, or is that really a fucking leopard?"
Yes.
You know, there's good bits comedy in here. It's just
it takes way too long to get there.
It does take way too long to get there, and it's, you know, no disparaging Katharine Hepburn. I think she's a fantastic actress. She's not a natural comedian.
Yeah, it kind of really shows in that 15 minutes at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, she finally gets into it near the end of the movie, but it's, you know, the whole movie's problem is its pace. It takes too long to get to where it needs to go.
Maybe, you know, Katharine Hepburn wasn't, like, maybe if she was more into the groove of it, she was more with the comedy, her, like, acting in those first 15 minutes would, like, sold it more. Mm-hmm. But as is, no.
Yeah. I mean,
wouldn't recommend.
It feels bad not recommending Bring a Baby, but I really could it in good conscience.
No.
I would recommend it for, like, a history class of cinema.
Yeah, maybe. Well, even that, I'm like, but why, though?
It's one of the first screwball comedies. It was, like, the template for the screwball comedy for a long time. It's one of those movies where its influence has outweighed its quality as the passage of time has gone on.
For sure.
But one thing that has stayed immaculate through the passage of time is our number 28, and that's Swing Time. And those are the dance numbers in this fucking movie.
Dance numbers in the movie are the only thing good about the movie, but damn, are they good.
Damn fine, sir. Damn
fine.
The reason this movie is number 28 and not dead last, because if we're talking about the story or anything other than the dance sequences, the movie's not very good.
It's not very good. It's probably worse than Modern Times, even.
But Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers are so good at their jobs.
They just kill it. Honestly, they just kill it in the dance sequences.
Every time they get to just take me and Ginger just gonna go in and we're gonna dance and we're gonna use our bodies to tell this story, and it's gonna be romantic and it's gonna be exciting and it's gonna be a spectacle to behold because we're really good at this shit. This is like the 7th time out we've been doing this. And it's really, really good.
They fucking nailed those sequences, yeah.
But the big problem is arguably the best sequence in the movie.
Arguably the best dance sequence of the movie. What's his name?
Is Fred Astaire.
Fred Astaire does it in blackface the whole time.
It is tainted. It is tainted by blackface.
And you can't help but just cringe when you're watching it. You're like, but like He fucking owns it, though.
Oh, yeah.
You can tell he put 110% effort into it.
He did not fuck around that day.
He probably practiced that thing 100 times, put like hundreds of hours into that, just that one, and then he put on fucking blackface.
It took
it
took 2 weeks for them to film the fucking sequence, and I'm like, if he did, the blackface ruins this.
10 minutes before, your makeup person, you were just like, no, we don't need that.
We don't need that. Like it really sucks because it arguably is like the best dance sequence like in this movie.
It's the best dance sequence I've seen in any movie.
I want to show you the ending of American in Paris because that's
pretty good.
It's 20 minutes. There's no dialogue. It's just dancing, and it's beautiful. It is the most beautiful dancing ever put to cinema. But this is just strictly impressive.
It's impressive.
And it's also the most famous dancing couple in cinema.
And Ginger Rogers, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you want them on here somewhere just based on influence. Without them, we don't get like dance movies. Like the Step Up franchise.
I can see what you mean.
But
man,
the actual movie itself though.
The movie, well, setting aside the blackface for a moment, because it is a big red mark on the movie.
Yeah.
And especially in the current cultural climate. It's just that the story is just not there.
It's not. It's a romance.
Acting isn't great.
It's a romance where the romance is so superfluous to everything going on. It's like
it just doesn't matter at all.
Doesn't matter at all. The acting, it's like this is a day at the office for the both of them. Mm-hmm. They know they're like, I'm sure they're fine actors. But they're here because we're going to dance in front of the camera, and we only have to be so-so.
Yeah, they're dancers first, actors second.
Yeah, and everybody else who's being an actor in the movie is like, so... Whatever.
Oh, there was like, what's the girl's name? Like Meredith or something?
Oh, yeah. Oh, wait, I liked her because she was the only one who seemed like a modern, person who was just talking mad shit about Fred Astaire the whole movie.
She's like but she seems so out of place because of it.
Yeah. Everybody else is in a 30s snappy, comedy, and she's like, I'm in a 90s rom-com, and I'm the gay best friend.
Yeah.
But that swing time, like, I really wish it was just had a little bit more there, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
But what is what it is? Number 27 on our list, The Bar, by which all other movies shall be measured by.
Yes. In order to qualify to not be taken off the list at the end of this 100, you gotta at least beat this movie.
Yes, and that is Yankee Doodle Dandy, starring the man, the myth, the legend, the man whose back should have been broken by the weight of the massive amount of talent he had to carry, James fucking Cagney. He carries this movie so hard that he's the only reason it's remembered 70 years after it was made.
Yeah, it's not remembered about the person it's actually made about.
Yeah, George M. Cohan, which should be, because he wrote like some of the most patriotic songs ever that we still learn today.
Yeah. Very American movie. Slots on this list kind of perfectly.
Yeah, the influence of it is insane. It's hitting on the cultural zeitgeist of its time in 45, like...
super hard.
I don't actually wait. Was it 45 or was it 41? 42. So this is the heart of World War II.
Yeah,
it's one of those things where we use this as the bar because Yankee Doodle Dandy, we can agree, is a good movie.
It's pretty decent.
It's a pretty decent movie. It's like this. I can say is a good movie. It's a nice movie. Oh, I'm not going to lay awake at night and think about the philosophical themes of Yankee Doodle Dandy.
No.
But I'm going to enjoy my watch. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm not going to
quote it endlessly, but it's there. It's nice. I didn't dislike my time watching it. I don't wish I had that time back or anything like that, It's just, I watched it once. That's good enough for me, and I appreciated my time with it.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. A good movie, you should appreciate your time with it, and when you think about it, you should think about it fondly enough.
Yeah.
And that's probably the things with the movies below this is, there's some stuff in there that you can't think that fondly of.
That fondly of them.
But Yankee Doodle Dandy, this is a movie carried by James Cagney. The production numbers in this are great.
Yes.
I still love it when they're doing the march on the stage and it looks like all the million flags behind it, but it's so obviously a stage production.
Yes.
And it's just, this is a feast to behold because it's basically a big budget movie production and transplanting that into a stage production and making them both function independently and coalesce together perfectly.
Yeah.
It's a great movie to watch.
The production's really good. James Cagney's performance is really good. The musical numbers are really good. It's just nice. It's just a nice movie.
It's just a nice movie.
It's not a big old tearjerker. It's got flashy.
It's got one emotional scene in there, and that's when his dad dies. But that's it. And it's not even like a tear your heart out scene. It's James Cassidy got range. That's that scene.
Yeah. It's not gonna break your soul in half or anything. It's there.
Good movie.
Perfectly serviceable.
It is the lowest you can go and still maintain the list. But one movie that we watched that from its place before is dive bombing straight to the bottom.
Dive bombed.
And that's number 26, Forrest Gump. You fucking hated this movie. You going into it. You didn't.
Yes,
you were
going
not
into the movie. I did. I heckin' hated the movie, but now I can kind of see its merits. It doesn't deserve to come off the list, but it is. It is not. It's not as good as everybody cracks it up to be.
It's really not. It is a movie that. It's a movie that I'm like, I watch it and I'm impressed by for what it's doing. It's doing well enough, but I really don't want to like watch it all the time.
Yeah.
Like, it's so weird because this is a movie that hit that TV airing cultural zeitgeist. Like, we can show this all the time, and it's like a beloved movie. Like, people love this movie, and I
don't really see it.
I kind of get it, but I really don't understand why it's this beloved. I can get you liking the movie, but it being your favorite.
There's some sequences that are pretty good, but that's the thing. There's some sequences that are pretty good. Like, the movie as a whole is not that great of a watch. Maybe that's why you can, like, just shove it on, like, public access. Because people watch it for, like, 30 minutes, then change the channel. And
the movie probably works so good, just jumping in and out every 20 minutes.
Yeah, because that's basically how the movie's, like, broken up.
It's true. It's a bunch of 10, 20-minute sequences over and over just about Forrest Gump's life. It would work better as a TV show.
Yeah, definitely.
And
yeah, actually, 100%.
100%. The only thing about this movie where I give it, like, all the praise, like, as much praise as I can possibly give, is Tom Hanks' performance. Because he's really good in the movie, but he transcends it in, like, the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's the only time where he's able to actually, like, flash off as a great actor.
But his performance is even, like, it's pretty easily criticizable.
Incredibly. My only thing is,
it's a good performance,
It's a good performance, it's just... Man, like, I can't deal with the Jenny. I can't deal with the voice. I can't.
Oh God.
It's super, like, offensive, especially now. And it's like, why though? But this is, like, the only person I can watch do this and not immediately turn the fucking TV off. And,
yeah, if anybody's gonna do it, it's gonna be Tom Hanks.
Yeah, they had to get America's nice guy to do it so people wouldn't hate him. But, Forrest Gump, a movie that is on the list. It's above Yankee Doodle Dandy because there are good sequences in the movie. It's not completely terrible. It wasn't as bad as you thought it was when you finished it.
It was not. It definitely wasn't. I had a new appreciation for the movie and its themes, but it just still is, like, there's some stuff about it that's just, I don't know.
Is this the only movie above Yankee Doodle Dandy you think could have come off the list and you'd be fine with it?
The thing is that I don't really think I could see Forrest Gump coming off the list. It's like Yankee Doodle Dandy in the fact that it just fucking nailed that zeitgeist, It nailed that like retrospective about that time,
It pretty much hit that, like, post Reagan era time where it was like, the quote unquote the boomers reflecting on the 20th century and the times we lived, the 60s and 70s, but it completely just ignores, like, the quote-unquote sellout of the 1980s that they all went through. Yeah. In terms of that zeitgeist. It really does feel like the perfect boomer movie.
Yeah, looking back on all these things.
Being like, yeah, we were all there. We pulled ourselves up by our bootstraps and conservative values. Totally, this isn't a political movie.
Oh, God.
That is Forrest Gump.
That's one of the things that irks me about that movie is just, like, how obvious it is.
It's conservative propaganda.
I'm not completely against, but it's just one of these things where it's just like, it's just so bad. It's so obvious. It's so nonchalant about it. It doesn't, like, build up its enemy to break it down at all. It just kind of stomps it into a mud hole and walks dry.
Poor Jenny. Poor Jenny.
Poor Jenny.
Another person we got to say poor them to is our number 25 on the list, Spartacus. Poor Spartacus.
Poor Spartacus.
This movie is 10 degrees for being a masterpiece in every direction.
Yes.
but it is not a masterpiece.
It is not.
It has some compelling...
Close.
It has some compelling fights, or compelling battle sequences.
Yes.
Has beautiful cinematography. Has a very interesting, like, long-form epic narrative. Has some great villains in it.
Oh, amazing villains.
Amazing villains. And has the most Mary Sue white toast lead in the movie.
Freaking white bread, freaking sugar sandwich. Like,
Spartacus is the least interesting person in his own movie.
yes, the movie's about him, and he's just like a non-factor in it.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna get to Ben-Hur later on list, but in closest comparison,
Yeah,
Ben-Hur, I enjoyed Ben-Hur. Like, following him as a character. Oh, I can get along with this, and that's a 3.5 hour movie, and I still wanted 20 minutes more of Ben-Hur. Spartacus, I'm like, bro,
can we just cut out all the parts of Spartacus and
Stanley Kubrick wanted to,
and just focus on the villains? Like, they're so much better part of the movie.
Yeah, Sir Laurence Olivier playing.
They honestly kind of carried this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Without
Laurence
them,
Olivier,
this movie
Charles
would be a
Lawn,
bottom.
all the Romans, all the
Mhm.
Romans carried this movie, and it's sad because this is the Kubrick movie that we've gone to so far.
And I'm not impressed.
It's I would say this is his worst movie. Like, even like The Killing is still a fun noir crime film, but this is a 3-hour Roman epic that has a couple great fights in it. It's a beautiful spectacle, but it is dull as dishwater
It
when
really is.
when you don't have the Romans in there for the intrigue.
Yeah, but the Roman intrigue is
Palatable.
palatable, so good.
But that's the thing with Spartacus. It's a great movie. Or it's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's a good movie. But it's just like, you know,
We're just in good movie territory
we're
right
only
now.
in good movie territory. Like, you know, I might rewatch Forrest Gump in like 10, 15 years. I might rewatch Spartacus in like 8, 10 years. You know, I'm not going to rewatch it that soon.
But
I
it's
will
on,
eventually.
It's on the panel for the rewatch because you
You know,
love epics.
One day I'll come back to it and be like, man, it's not as good as I hoped it would be.
That is the flaw. But another movie that's not nearly as good as we thought it was going to be, and that's the movie that made the most money out of all the movies, and that is Titanic at number 24.
Again, 10 degrees away
from being a masterpiece. In every direction. This is just a good movie. It could be your favorite. You could get involved with all the romance and the Titanic and whatever, but Jack and Rose are the worst part of this movie.
They are.
They are the least interesting.
Their romance is not interesting.
Their romance is not interesting. It's the star-crossed lover thing. We've seen it a million times. It is melodrama played for the widest audience. And there's
apparently
nothing.
We're not that audience.
Well, the thing is, it's like, I watched it and I'm like, I enjoyed Titanic. Like, I liked the movie.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
But that's the thing. It's like, I enjoyed the movie, but Jack and Rose were like the least interesting part.
Yeah,
I like
just about everything else about the movie was like way better than they were.
Oh,
Except for the villain.
Oh, Cal. Poor Billy Zane.
Billy Zane got fucking toasted with this movie. They threw him under the bus.
They really did. And it kind of sucks because, you know, you want a good villain in like a fucking 4-hour movie, but you don't. This movie is carried by the supporting cast.
Yeah, apparently the real villain of this movie is just the iceberg.
But that's the thing, you know, we know how the movie ends, and the whole conceit is, well, we're going to make you so interested in the rest of the movie and the plot, then you don't care how it ends, and it becomes this looming dread. And I'm like,
it doesn't happen.
It doesn't. Like, I like the supporting cast. I think Kathy Bates is great, and the production sign is
surprisingly good, actually.
It's flawless. Oh yeah, Kathy Bates is a fantastic actress. I wish Misery is on here so she had more to work with.
I just like, you know, that type of character in one of these movies would usually kind of like irk me or whatever, but like her character just comes off so great. Like, it really surprises me because usually with these
down-to-earth rich person.
Well, the down-to-earth rich comedy relief, you know, that she's playing. The down-to-earth comedy relief in like the historical movie, right?
Yeah.
Where they're supposed to like represent the more modern audience, but she's playing a real person and she does it well.
I give credit to all the supporting actors in here.
Yeah. All the supporting actors did a fantastic job. Also, props to James Cameron.
Oh yeah, fucking James Cameron. Yeah, the guy just wants to have all the money so he can make movies that make all the money again. Like,
well, can you blame the man? I mean, he fucking nailed it with this movie.
And then he did again with Avatar.
Yeah, with everything besides the two main characters and Cal. everything besides them fucking nailed it out of the park. Home run.
And that's probably why this movie, it was relegated to like the 80s. And I'm like, yeah, that's about right. But I think it should have gone down a lot lower. Because I appreciate it. I get it. It made a shit ton of money. It's a fun movie to watch, but I could not care less for the main conceit of the film.
It's a great spectacle of a movie.
This is like definitely the spectacle area. You know, Titanic, Spartacus, there's spectacle films where I appreciate the spectacle. It's just the main character just don't. I just can't fuck with it.
I really can't fuck with it.
I'm sorry. But some guys that definitely can't fuck with it. And fuck a lot in the movie they're in. And that's the Wild Bunch. I like this movie. This is a fun action western.
Honestly,
I think this is in just fun territory.
Honestly, with the Wild Bunch, like, to qualify it anything other than just like a fun western movie, like, I think would be giving it like too much credit, because
Really?
like after watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Ed has just overwrote all of my memories of fucking the Wild Bunch.
The Wild Bunch,
I've forgotten like everything about this movie after watching Butch Cassidy and the Sundance
Really?
Kid. Yes.
That movie overshadowed the Wild Bunch that hard for you?
Yeah, dude. Like, all I can remember about the Wild Bunch is like the end fight scene,
which is fucking metal.
It's pretty good.
All the fight sequences in the Wild Bunch are great. I think they're some of the best like gunfights we've seen so far.
Some of the movies coming back to me, you know, where they're in like the Mexican village and stuff like that.
Oh, and the beginning when they're at the train station and they have the shootout and it's the procession and the kids and all that stuff.
Oh, right. Oh, now I'm more remembering the Wild Bunch now. They have the motif of like the violence and children and stuff like that.
The movie has motifs and it has a chewable aspect to it. It's just is long.
Yeah, it drags out quite a while, and also nothing about it really like is so striking. You know, there's nothing really about the movie that like makes it like so memorable and like, oh yeah, I want to like go back and see that again. You know, it doesn't make you think about it.
You said right now, the moment you watched another Western, it just erased this movie.
It just like the only things I can really like palatably remember about the Wild Bunch is the motif with the violence and kids. And that's about it. Like the end. Where they go back. The part where the one character is like dragged around by the general on like on the car.
Yeah.
Or when the general's getting like mortared and they're like out in like the field at the train tracks.
And we're like, what the fuck is this?
What the fuck is going on?
Is that a real cut? or when the bridge explodes and Randy's like, are those real people? I'm like, yeah, those are real people. Are those real horses? Oh yeah, those are real horses.
What the fuck?
I think the movie is just a really just a fun Western. It has stuff to talk about. It is definitely a it's weird to say fun because this is definitely like an R-rated Western movie.
Oh, definitely.
But it's a great action flick. I think it has stuff to say.
It's a flick.
It's a good flick. Yeah, are we in flick territory?
Well, no, I wouldn't say flick territory. We're merely crossing over.
Crossing over, yes.
Yeah, we're on a flick river right now.
and the Wild Bunch is a good Western. I would recommend this Western. It's just I don't know how long it'll stick with you. Some people I think it would stick a long time, but other people like you, I think, you're in and out.
Yeah, like
appreciate your watch, don't hate it, but you'll come back to it later.
Yeah, basically. You know, maybe I'll rewatch it someday and get a newfound appreciation for it. Maybe I just wasn't in the mood when I watched it, you know? But it's good. I don't really have anything too disparaging to say about it. It's just not that amazing, you know? It's one of these where it's like, there's nothing that awful about it. It's just not amazing. It kind of drags on.
That's my biggest argument with it, is it does have a deliberate pace to it.
And not in a good way.
Not in a good way. But a movie, so you're talking about maybe one day you'll come back and appreciate it. I need to know. Will you come back and appreciate our number 22 on this list, The Apartment? Please.
That's a hard ass.
Please, I really like this movie. And you like tore me down in that entire episode, making me like dislike
I'm
it.
Sorry.
I really, really enjoyed this movie.
Maybe I could rewatch it and kind of get it and kind of
meet it on its terms.
Meet it on its terms, yeah. Because I really don't think I did at all. With this movie, I definitely met it on my own terms. You know, I invited it over into my courtyard for a duel.
you invited over to your court for some 1v1, and then you decided to just dunk on it the whole time.
Oh yeah, dude.
honestly, The Apartment is a movie that I think has a wonderful script. I think it's a great, well-written script. I think it's very funny. I think Jack Lemmon's a great main and lead, but I get it. You just could not fuck with the whole adultery storyline because it's just
It's like it doesn't make much sense to me at times. Like the main character, his acting is like pretty good.
Yeah. Jack Lemmon, one of the great actors. You know.
And kind of like keeps the movie up here for me, you know, like keeps it from not like completely falling off the planet, you know. It's the acting's pretty good, you know, the sets. I like the sets actually, like the design of the movie. A lot of the shots, I really like a lot of the shots in this movie where they like call him from across the
across the office. I love the big wide at the beginning when it's the infinite desks in like that big office room. And I don't even remember if I mentioned this, but that was a whole setup, and in the background, those are like 10-year-olds in suits.
Oh, really?
To force the perspective, making it look giant.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's a movie that I think is really good. It's the first Wilder on the list, and I think it's a great comedy. I really enjoyed it, but
I don't think it's funny.
There's the thing. It's a movie that...
like, this was supposed to be funny?
Yeah, I hate you, Randy. But this is a movie that I feel has... Its biggest enemy is time. Because I feel so many movies, rom-coms, regular comedies, just any kind of movie after it has stolen tropes from this. And it's diluted its effect to the point where I've seen this all before. Like, the movie's not doing anything unique. It's just, this is like... the first movie to put all these tropes together and do it well.
Yeah.
And every movie after has been stealing things from it. And as a modern viewer, it seems so basic.
Yeah.
That is the main flaw of the film in terms of like a modern viewer.
But, you know, its influence is widespread.
Widespread. And every rom-com has stolen something from this. I would be remiss to find one that hasn't stolen a little something from this, knowingly or unknowingly.
Yeah, it's a movie that, for its own merits, is worth study.
Yeah.
For anybody making a movie.
And I think this movie is by far one of the most watchable.
I'm not making a movie. So yeah. I could not care less.
I hate you so. But I think that this movie is very still watchable today. It might be a little like tropey, but you can still watch it. Nothing in here. There's no blackface. You're not going to get offended. You can roll with it.
If you're open to rom-coms from older eras, you could give it a watch.
Yeah. But for movies from the bygone era, namely the 1990s, we're talking about Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, number 21 on this list that we have come up with arbitrarily with arbitrary great facts is a movie that is a lot of style.
I expected to like it a little bit more than where it's ended up.
The same. My problem with Pulp Fiction, it's really bad because I don't want to say my problems with it because I really liked the movie.
Oh yeah, we both really enjoy it. I'd probably watch it again.
Oh, most definitely. It's my thing is, I hate saying this because I don't want to be that fucking guy, but it's a lot of style and not a lot of substance. The movie, granted, we talked at length about this movie's, the point is the style is the substance.
The style is the substance, but it's still, even though the style is the substance, it still feels airy. You know, it's not got a lot of crunch, a lot of meat to the substance. Then you're kind of spreading it thin. It's a little airy. It's like it's like bread, you know.
You know, it's like the Wild Bunch, like we were just talking about. There's chew in that movie. It's just the movie's like has a long, deliberate pace, and it's not 100% perfectly executed. Pulp Fiction, it's a perfectly executed movie. It's just where's all the chew? Where's all the bite to the movie? It's an engaging, wonderful, style-filled movie that you can argue
amazing dialogue.
Amazing dialogue. It is probably a great case of the auteur cinema, where this is a Quentin Tarantino movie.
And you can't really qualify it any other way.
Exactly, and it's Tarantino putting all of his influences, all of the things he loves about cinema on screen and showing these are all the stylistic things that I find so engaging and beautiful and wonderful. That I enjoy. This is me personifying my enjoyment of films in a film.
And he does it really well.
He does it really well, but
it's missing the extra something.
It's missing the spice. It's missing the spice. The movie's not bland, it's just there's not a lot to... You can't live in this.
Yeah, it's missing that little extra thing that takes it over the top. It is what's going to befall the fate of a lot of movies on this list is is really good. It's great even, but it's missing that something.
And,
that little something that just like takes it to the next level, you know?
which is the problem because, I think everyone has that, the unknowable something where
Mhm.
I can say, oh, the movie's perfect, but I just don't like it. Like, what the fuck do you mean,
But
dude?
what's wrong with it?
Why do you not like The Godfather, asshole? It's like, I don't know, I just started watching it, just didn't do anything for me. Well, how the fuck can you not like it? That movie's perfect. It's like the greatest film ever made. And it's like, it just didn't,
To qualify that though.
I love The Godfather.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody
here doesn't like
I
The
saw that
Godfather.
fucker in a
Don't send
4K
us
at
hate
the
mail.
I saw that in a 4K Academy Museum. It was beautiful. Love that movie. But-
Coppola did like a Q&A, didn't he?
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola did a Q&A right before the screening, and I fainted. It was beautiful.
Mhm.
But you know what I mean? Like, there's some movies where
Yeah, where it just doesn't click. There's something missing, like with this movie, I think it's that little extra substance, that little extra theme, the things behind the movie aren't there, after the after you walk past the set, there's nothing behind it.
Yeah, the movie is a lot
Other than
of
Quentin Tarantino.
screen. Yeah.
You go past the set, the only thing there is him.
Yes, and he's writing more cool shit to say in his next movie.
You know what? It's kind of that's. Do you think that's a criticism of an auteur's movie? Is that you go past the movie? What's the thing to analyze? Him.
I mean, that gets into
What
the
else
whole...
are you gonna go? What else are you gonna go to? You're gonna go to him.
That gets into the whole, like, psychoanalysis of cinema, where, people who are like, oh, well, if we watch this artist's work, we can pull great meaning from his psychology, what he wrote, and blah, blah, blah. And that's the whole thing about the auteur theory, where, the director is the author of the film. Everything on screen comes directly through him, and this is him creating his art and putting his mind on the canvas, and it's not. Because that works for paintings, because it's one guy and some oils. You need, like, an army to make a movie, and there's 100 people doing 1,000 decisions every day,
Yeah,
and the director's not in charge of everything.
but some people get it closer to their vision than others.
Some people do get closer to vision than others.
Like Quentin Tarantino.
Quentin Tarantino, this is a pretty fucking close vision to probably what he had in mind.
Close.
But I don't think that's a thing you can say is bad about an auteurist movie. It's just a feature.
Yeah,
It's not a bug, it's a
not
feature.
a bug, it's feature. But sometimes people don't like the features either.
Yeah. But Pulp Fiction, we can talk a lot about.
Yeah, we could talk about that.
But a movie that I think we can maybe not talk so much about, but is still a great movie, and that's The French Connection, number 20 on our list, which, surprised it's here, but I'm very much okay where it is.
Kind of the same. I'm like, this movie has a lot more against it than like Pulp Fiction, for instance, because the main character is, while interesting in some ways, is rather bland in others.
And the plot,
The story's pretty predictable.
Yeah, the plot's predictable, even though it's a conspiracy thing.
Mm-hmm.
The action's engaging, even if it's far between. But it's such a well put together movie. It's so gritty. It has so much influence of being that gritty 70s crime cinema.
The guerrilla filmmaking is impressive.
Oh, it is so impressive. It is so impressive. All the car chases are fantastic. How the movie is put together is so impressive. This is an impressive movie.
Which it doesn't appear that way when you first watch it.
Yeah, you
kind of need that like little extra like context to really appreciate it.
But I even think watching it in the blind, you would still enjoy it as just
it's definitely an enjoyable movie.
As a cop crime action movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Gene Hackman's so good in this.
Really good.
I think that's the thing that probably puts this above Pulp Fiction. Though Pulp Fiction created, John Travolta, he's still a great actor. What the hell? Like, Gene Hackman is doing next level shit in French Connection. It's such a good movie. I think it's still watchable today. I think there's nothing really wrong with it. And I think it still has a little bit to chew on.
There's nothing too wrong with it. There's a couple of little things. It's got a little bit to chew on. It's just a fine movie. It's good. It's great. There's nothing too bad about it. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's good.
It's good. It's good. You know what else is good? Toy Story. Number 19 on the list.
Toy Story is pretty good.
Toy Story is really good.
It's pretty good. It really held up, honestly.
It is surprising. It is so surprising that Toy Story holds up better than Modern Times and Yankee Doodle Dandy and Forrest Gump. Like, Toy Story is actually just a good movie.
Yeah, it's just a good movie. There's nothing wrong with it almost at all.
Like, you could be an adult and watch it, and there's still stuff to watch. Like, it's not it's a kid's movie. Like, once you hit like 13, you're kind of done. You don't never need to watch it again. No, like
you can definitely just watch it as an adult.
Yeah, and there's stuff to look at. There's stuff to analyze. There's themes to chew on.
The only thing that kind of like, takes the movie back is that, like, on the surface it is just a kids movie.
Yeah, it's a movie that is on the surface. It's not trying to blow your mind.
Yeah,
with pure kino cinema.
I guess the real criticism of the movie is that it's safe.
For the time, it's blowing your mind because it was the first computer animated movie.
Yeah, it was the first computer. But since it was the first computer animated movie, they probably dialed it back a little bit. To make sure it wasn't going to be a fuck up.
Yeah. And it's not a fuck up. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. The performances are great.
Tom Hanks showing up again.
The animation style somehow hasn't aged as poorly as I thought it would.
Surprising.
So surprising.
You thought this one was going to be...
I thought it was going to age like fucking milk, dude. Like raw, unpasteurized milk.
You're like, I thought it was going to look like a PS1 game.
No, it looks perfectly fine.
Yeah.
If it came out today, it would be a stylistic choice,
I think if it came out today, it would probably still do really well. If we lived in a world without Toy Story, and we got A Bug's Life as the first one...
A Bug's Life.
As the first Pixar movie.
Can we get the Bug's Life on here?
Oh, dude, the Bug's Life fucks. I love that movie. It is literally Seven Samurai with bugs. It is so cool. But, like, if we had that, and then, like, we never got Toy Story, and Toy Story came out now in the year of our Lord 2020-something, I think it would still do really well. I think it would still, rock.
Just fine, yeah.
So, I don't know. I think it's a movie that just has continued to hold up. It will probably always hold up. Might be biased because this is half our childhood, but whatever, fuck it. But yeah.
It's good. The ending is good. The whole movie's just, like, fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. The acting is great. The only thing keeping it back is that, at its core, it is what it is. It's an animated kids movie. These things kind of a dime a dozen nowadays.
That's true. But you know a movie that's not a dime a dozen? The movie that back in the heart of the civil rights movement saw Mr. Tibbs slap a white racist.
Oh, Mr. Tibbs.
And that is number 18 on our list. In the Heat of the Night, starring Sidney Poitier as Mr. Tibbs.
Mr. Tibbs.
I love this movie. This movie is actually kind of grew on me.
This movie's also kind of grown on me. I mean, you might be saying kind of grown on me. Actually really good. Number 18, but there's a lot of good movies on this list.
Well, you can probably like line it up and you can figure out, okay, yeah, no, I get why it's 18 on this list. It's like Sidney Poitier is so good in this movie.
He's really
I
good.
think Rod Steiger is so good in this movie as the sheriff. I think the plot is really...
connection works really well, too.
Oh, the great chemistry. The conspiracy, the mystery, it's so fun. The camera works oddly modern and pretty good. And, also, what do they call you in Philadelphia?
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Best line of the movie. Best line of cinema.
I mean, it's got good dialogue in it. It's good dynamic to Sidney Poitier's character, where he wants to lash back at these people, for treating him poorly. He wants to lash back at them, but he knows it's not right.
He has a strong moral character to him, which makes him a great police officer. And when he does finally lash out, it's like the most like, fuck yeah moment of the movie.
But then he realizes
he's like, I'm about to compromise the case. And I'm like, this guy, I like this guy.
He's like, I'm going to compromise the case, I got to let my emotions get in the way of everything. It's, the person we're after isn't him, Just because I want it to be him, it doesn't make it him.
Is this one of your favorite? This is your favorite kind of character, and that's principled characters? Principled
characters, I fucking love principled main characters.
And Mr. Tibbs is a principled main character.
He's a principled main character, and when he breaks his principle, he knows it was wrong.
It's good.
It's good. It's palatable.
This is a very watchable movie because the movie's main, I guess, through line story is basically a police procedural.
Yeah.
It has like an air of it being, it's a film about race in
Deep South.
The Deep South, what they call the Hanging South.
Mm-hmm.
It's
getting chased around by a couple of quote-unquote good old boys.
You don't need to put quotes on there. Stars and bars on the license plate, Randy. They good old boys.
No, I'm saying that phrase, though. Quote-unquote good old boys.
Yep. But it's a very engaging movie, and it's a movie where, I can see the themes. It's written on its sleeve, and it's doing them, but it's also telling a really compelling story with really compelling actors who are playing really compelling characters. It's a compelling movie. I really dig it. It's also edited by Hal Ashby, and he directed Harold and Maude, so he can do no wrong.
Okay, dude.
Look, I gotta throw that in there.
Yeah, I don't really have anything bad to say about the movie.
That's the problem with the rest of these movies. We ain't gonna have anything bad to say about them.
It's just, you
gotta weight them.
The overall quality is just gonna get better and better.
It's true. And a movie that gets better and better is Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, number 17 on the list. Which is a movie that actually, as it goes on, it just gets better and better and funner and funner and funnier and funnier. Because it's an action comedy.
It's an action comedy. It does it well. The only thing is that the chase scene is probably a little drawn out.
Yeah.
That's about the only thing I can say bad about the whole movie.
But it ends with a great punchline.
Ends with a great punchline. The ending shot is really good. I mean, the whole chemistry between the two characters is just great.
Yeah, Robert Redford coming up first time on this list. Robert Redford, you're gonna see him later, and Paul Newman. They are so good.
Nail it.
They're such good actors, and I feel this movie has been a template for any fun buddy action film. I think most Marvel movies steal from this. I think I said that in the episode.
Oh yeah.
It feels like this steals
quips between the two of them. Yeah, of course.
They're in a shootout, and one of them throws the one-liner behind them, and they're still like nailing it, and they're like so better than everybody else, and they have the great dynamic, and it's a movie that shows its influence very well.
Yeah.
And it does have a little bit to chew on. It has this whole thing of the ending of the West, kind of like the Wild Bunch, the end of an era. That was what the Wild Bunch was about. And Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid does the same thing, the end of an era, but these guys still try to hold on to it by going from the American West and just going to the next closest thing they can find and finding you can't recapture your glory.
Yes.
And that's the whole thing is one day life will pass you on, and it's like if you can't recapture your glory, you got to go out in the blaze of glory, and that's what Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid do.
Yeah, it's such a good way to put it. It really is what the movie's truly about. It's about running away from the fact that it's coming to an end. What the era you were living in is over. That's the whole motif with them being chased in the movie is them simply running away from time. They don't want it to catch up to them. They don't want to have that realization that it's over.
And they do everything they can to run away from it. Even when they're about to go, they think, we might be able to get to Australia. They speak English in Australia. One of the funniest bits in the movie. Yes, they're about to fucking die, and he's like, why'd you always talk me into these with your good ideas? Also, Australia, you say? Maybe Australia.
They speak English in Australia.
We can rob banks in Australia. But it's such a fun movie. This is a movie that is one of the most watchable.
Honestly, yeah. If after this we put it on, I would not bat an eye. I'd just be like, okay, it's time to watch Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. It's a good movie.
I can fuck with this movie.
Yeah, this is the movie where I wouldn't be it wouldn't be a miss if I were to rewatch this movie within a year.
Really?
Yeah, I wouldn't say, or I wouldn't bat an eye at it, being like, okay, what are we gonna watch today? It's a chill day. We're just gonna sit on the couch and watch a movie. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Okay, I'm game.
Yeah. But another movie that I think you loved this movie so much, you had to go out immediately and watch another movie by these guys, and that is number 16 on the list, A Night at the Opera, The Marx Brothers. Literally watched Night at the Opera, and you put on Duck Soup the next day.
Yes, it was just that good. I was that impressed by this really old comedy. I thought it would be the cringiest thing. I thought it would.
You thought it was gonna be another Bring Up Baby.
I thought it was gonna be another Bring Up Baby where all the jokes were gonna miss. That they weren't gonna make any sense to me.
Nothing was gonna age well. The plot was gonna be garbage.
Yeah. But Night of the Opera, they kind of go out at the beginning of the movie and say the plot's not gonna matter at all, people. All right, let's get on with the comedy, and then crack their knuckles and they get into it, and you're like, this is what I want. And then the bits, they all hit so well.
And that's the thing. They're all bits you've seen before. These are bits that have been repeated and stolen for like literally 90 years. But these guys are like, hey, we're going to show you why we're the fucking masters.
Yeah.
Yo, like Seth Rogen, James Franco, sit the fuck down. You know, Jim Carrey, Will Ferrell, let the masters do their work. We're going to show you what's the fuck's up.
There's a reason why it's all sprung from them. Why they're the spring, you know?
They are modern comedy.
They are modern comedy, and they just did it so well. This is like where the true classic comes from. Like, they are the classics of comedy.
And I feel without them, like, in terms of influence, if we don't have the Marx Brothers, we don't have Airplane, we don't have Monty Python, we don't have Mel Brooks. I don't want to live in a world without Mel Brooks, all right? I can't do that.
Without any three of these.
Without any three of these. I cannot live in a world without Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's just not fucking happening.
That's great.
All right? And the Marx Brothers, their influence is insanity levels across the board of comedy. And the movie actually just works, and I feel like I betrayed myself because I watched it before and I tried to watch it as a movie, and it doesn't work as a movie. Watching it as a comedy act, it's one of the best comedy acts I could watch.
Oh yeah, you would be amiss to try and watch this movie as anything serious.
Yeah, which is probably why it's only 16. It's the most impressive display of a craft we've seen so far. And the craft of comedy?
Well, so far.
So far, maybe. So far. Randy really wants to get the duck soup.
Oh, well, we'll see. We'll see when we get the duck soup.
But in terms of display of your comedic craft,
when you said display of a craft, I was like, of any craft?
And then calm down.
Comedic craft. Okay, yeah, sure.
Craft.
Comedic craft, yeah.
Yeah, which is why it's here. You know, like, it's best comedy we've seen so far.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, to show everyone we don't hate comedies. It's just you need to be good.
Yeah, you got to be good comedy because comedies just they age poorly.
They do.
They're always part of their own time, or most of the time. Night at the Opera. It's not a snippet of its own time. You know, it works even now. And the same jokes hit.
They do, and it's so weird because this movie from like 90 years ago still works, but I can't watch a comedy from 10 years ago without cringing.
I can't watch a comedy that comes out today without cringing.
We blame you, SNL. But something we cannot blame SNL for is actually a good thing that comes out on the picture show, and that's the last picture show on number 15. I'm trying real hard with these segues, man.
Yeah, I can see fucking beads of sweat when you're looking over at our piece of paper with the list on it. You're just like, oh god, I gotta get a segue.
I gotta get a segue in. But we had the last picture show. Peter Bogdanovich, may he rest in peace, had directed one of the
peace be upon him.
One of the best coming of age stories.
Yeah, he's the best coming of age story we've seen so far, and coming of age stories is just so quintessential to film, quintessential to like any media,
any storytelling, you know, because there's things where you're a boy and then one day you shall become a man, but it's that transitionary period that is figuring out what does it mean to be an adult, you know. And this movie does it by exploring, you know, sexuality, responsibility, exploring loss, you know, exploring love. This movie explores these things,
exploring the passage of time itself with the whole like the city closing down, you know, the end of an era.
Yes, the town falls apart and crumbles, and it's all done in this beautiful black and white cinematography. And the movie is a fantastic movie. It is Bogdanovich's masterpiece. But, you know, it's only number 15 on the list. It is the midway point.
It is the midway point. You gotta be at least better than this to be a great movie.
It's really true. This is the bar, because after this, everything's great.
Yes.
You know, everything before this was just good. Now we're into great territory.
Great movies.
Anything you want to say about The Last Picture Show? This is the problem with The Last Picture Show. We always say it's so good, it's so great, but it's so hard to talk about.
Yeah, it's one of these movies, and we're gonna have maybe one or two more come up on this list. There's nothing that like tangible to say about it.
There's not a lot of movies like it.
There's not a lot of movies like it to compare it to, because we do a lot of our speaking comparisons on this podcast, but it's just a perfectly good depiction of coming of age, of an accurate coming of age for its time, for people in general. You know, it's one of these things where you could kind of fast forward it in time or rewind it in time to a different era, and it'd still pretty much be similar. You know, it would work endlessly.
And it has like this palatable melancholy to the whole affair.
Yes.
It feels like there's some
Even
happy
when the characters
moments.
are supposed to be like happy, you can tell like there's this kind of sinister undertone to the movie, that melancholy, that wanting or not wanting it to change, you know, not wanting to move on.
You know, it's the thing where I want to be youthful forever. You know, that's the whole thing with Sybil Shepherd's character. She wants to know what love is by, you know, being with the dude and all this other stuff. But she's like, I just want something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she finds power through her sexuality, and you know, she ends up in a kind of a worse state than she was before. We have Sam the Lion, who kind of was like the embodiment of this town and this old west, and when he dies, the whole town kind of just crumbles
Falls
around
apart around him.
and it's
the town loses its father figure.
yeah. And then, you know, Sonny Boy, he's the one who gets the picture show, and now he has to figure out, like, I guess I'm now the responsible one. I'm the new father figure now. What does that mean?
Yeah, he gets thrust into it because it's not one of these things where you can just go about it whenever you feel like. You know, the coming of age is happening whether you like it or not.
It happens hard in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something. But you know what else happens hard? Going to jail. Not only going to jail, but going into witness protection, like our main character Henry Hill in a number 14 film, Goodfellas. I slid into that segue like a champ.
No, you didn't.
Eat a dick, Randy.
Oh my god, that was so heavy-handed.
I had to try.
But I mean, hey, you know,
Look,
it exists. That's
hey,
all that matters.
Goodfellas is also heavy-handed when he's hitting him with that pistol. All right, best pistol whipping sequence in cinema.
Quote this man.
Quote is this man. But yeah, so Goodfellas, like one of Scorsese's masterpieces. He's got a few.
He's got a few. Maybe a couple.
Maybe a few more on the list. Just saying. But Goodfellas, quintessential gangster film.
Quintessential gangster flick.
It's one of like the top 2-3 gangster films ever made.
Well, top 5. All right.
Top 5.
Easily top 5. You want to get top 2? Are we counting Godfather Part 1 and 2 as the same movie here?
Shut up. But also, I will say this: like, I think Godfather Part 2 might be a little overrated. I think 1 is way better than 2. I think miles better.
Miles better. Like not even a chance.
Nah, like if Godfather is number 1, then Part 2 is like maybe number 5, 6.
Okay.
You know, it's still in the conversation, but I'm like, guys, it's not better than 1. Like, let's be honest. But that's for controversial opinion for later. But Goodfellas, like, it's such a fun movie. It's so fast.
Yeah, it's fast. It's fun.
It's 3 hours and it feels like 90 minutes. And
is it really 3 hours?
Yeah, it's like a 3-hour movie.
Oh God,
you didn't realize that?
No, I thought it was like maybe like 2 and some change.
No, it's like it's almost 3 hours. This movie's long.
Goodness, but I think the main point about the movie is that gangster movies are like a pretty big deal. This is one of the better ones. Quintessential American genre. This is one of the better ones. It also one of the movies that shows a quintessential hero's journey, the rise and fall of your main character, the like spiraling out of control. This shows it in spades.
Yeah, and it also is a great display of Martin Scorsese, one of, if not the greatest American filmmaker living today, and how he is able to incorporate influences of like the French New Wave and Italian New Realism and put them together and bring in, you know, this American genre, the gangster film, bring in his own experiences, bring in a true story aspect, meld it all together and create a piece of cinematic art that is so incredibly personal and incredibly like wide-reaching and watchable. It's a amazing movie to just watch because you will enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
Even if you don't like gangster movies, you'll just enjoy the movie. It's a really fascinating movie. It's
got one of the best supporting actors of all time in it. Joe Pesci.
Joe Pesci. He won an Oscar for this. Just saying. Did. I'm going to tell this story.
Best supporting actor Oscar belongs to Joe Pesci.
Damn right. All right. Okay. I'm gonna throw this out there because I heard this story and it's great. So Joe Pesci, he was in an airport and this kid goes out to him, right, and he's like, "Hey, I know you. You're from Home Alone. Like blah blah blah. You're Joe Pesci. You're cool." And Joe Pesci looks at this kid. He's like fucking 9. He's like, "Hey kid, you know me?" He's like, "Yeah. Who's your favorite actor?" not sure how to act. You know, he's like, you? He's like, that's right. Gives the kid $100 bill, pats him on the head, and walks away. Because he's a fucking G.
Of course, Joe Pesci. Joe Pesci out there fucking hustling kids to tell him that he's his favorite actor.
Dude, you know what? Joe Pesci bought his Best Supporting Actor Oscar right there. That kid was an exec's kid.
Probably.
I heard that and I'm like, that needs to be so true.
What a G.
His rap career, impeccable. Better than Dre.
But, yeah. So, the movie's just great all around. The rise and fall from grace, you know, the spiraling of paranoia. It's all done so well. Also, the scene where they enter into the restaurant.
Everybody knows
the tracking shot.
Oh, my body.
A masterpiece of cinematography.
And it's a movie that uses all the gangster tropes and makes them feel fresh.
Yeah. Every
gangster trope is in this movie, and it's fresh.
It's a good movie.
It's just a good movie. And another movie that is it's just a good movie. It's just fresh. It's in the jungle. It's Platoon. Number 13.
Platoon. Fresh.
Fresh. Rotten Tomatoes. Fresh.
I guess.
It is fresh on Rotten Tomatoes.
I know.
I should just use that as my segue for these, because it'll be easier.
But, you know, it's a movie about Vietnam. It's not that fresh, dog.
Look, I'm trying here. I'm digging.
This movie's got young Willem Dafoe in it. It can't be that fresh.
Nah, dude. Willem Dafoe got that drip. All right, let's be real here.
Well, I mean...
dude, Willem Dafoe, young Charlie Sheen, Dr. Cox...
Also, Willem Dafoe has not aged that much.
It's kind of weird, right?
It is kind of weird. He always looked old.
he always looked like a man who was like, man, you look good for your late 30s. And then as he got older, I'm like, you looking a little... You a vampire?
you a vampire?
He's not Keanu Reeves levels, but I mean, you know. Also, he was in a vampire movie about the making of Nosferatu, where he plays Nosferatu.
Nice.
It's actually great.
Honestly, I want to watch a lot more Willem Dafoe movies. He puts on a good performance in this one, but I want to watch more. I want to watch like Last Temptation of Christ. Isn't that the one?
Oh yeah, that done by Scorsese.
I want to watch that movie.
Ooh, he plays Jesus Christ. He's also, his performance in The Lighthouse is
really good.
So good. And even in Spider-Man, where people are like, "Oh, he's a guy taking a paycheck." I'm like, "No, he's acting his ass off."
He's one of the better parts of that movie.
Yes, in all of them. In every Spider-Man movie he shows up in, gets better.
I was talking about the most recent one. I haven't seen the older one in a long time.
I mean, if you watch it, Randy, it's like going home. It's like going home back to the old country.
But I mean, going back to the home of this podcast,
yes, Platoon. Oh God!
All of the actors in this movie really nailed it.
Every last one of them, and it's a movie that is
show that Charlie Sheen got acting chops. What?
It's so surprising, right? Because he's the mean. Charlie Sheen became the tiger blood mean guy for like most of the 2000s.
Well, also, you know, he's on 2.5 Men. Like,
I don't know, he took his sitcom money.
He took his sitcom money and he, started working his 9 to 5. That was that.
But this movie shows he has great acting chops. It's a movie that is full of themes you can just munch on for hours. It's a war movie that is vehemently anti-war, anti-conflict, anti-combat, made by a guy who was in Vietnam, and this is like his therapy and him coming to terms with the Vietnam War, because it's directed by Oliver Stone. And I think it's one of the most personal films, one of the most powerful Vietnam films, one of the most powerful war films.
Definitely.
It, like, right after I watched it, I'm like, I love this movie. This movie's great.
Yeah, I didn't really have anything that bad to say about the movie. Like, I mean, I'm always over here just trying to find something bad about it. I'm like, there's got to be something, right? Like, there's got to be something I can just whip out and be like, no, because I'm a very pessimistic person at times, and some of these movies just like I got to take a step back and be like, no.
You meet it on its terms.
I'll meet it on its terms. It's a good movie. It's a great movie. I would watch this movie again. No questions asked, just being like, okay, we're going to watch Platoon? Okay, I'll watch Platoon.
And it's a movie where every time I watch it, I'm like, God, I'm like, this is probably very close to what it was like there, but it makes me want to explore like the Vietnam War, like historically more, like talk to, family who were veterans and things, and just, what is this? Is this like it's a movie that really propels me as an audience member to look beyond the film, which is a great thing.
But looking back to the film, the night fight scene.
Oh, it's beautiful.
The flares.
So
good.
One of the best combat scenes in a movie. That it's shot beautifully, and it is so tense, and it's terrifying, and the action involved is like, oh my god, this is better than 2 Rambo movies combined.
Also, the movie where the 2 sergeants meet in the jungle.
Where it's Defoe and Sergeant Barnes.
Yeah, Defoe and Sergeant Barnes meet in the jungle.
And they just look, and he's like, oh, I'm safe. Nah, you're not, bitch. Pew pew.
Except it's done a lot better than that.
Way better. And he does the thing, throws his arms in the air, and goes,
yes.
Eagle cries. And it's meme to death in every war movie
it's
ever.
On the box.
It's on the box. Tropic Thunder stole it for like the opening sequence.
But I mean, the movie's just great all around.
It is so good. It is great all around. I mean, and that's the thing. Watching movies like this, you really have to have like a sixth sense about it. To really figure out why you like it.
God.
Like our number 12 movie.
I thought you were going to go for like a more conventional segue, but no, we got to name drop the movie.
Damn right. Number 12, The Sixth Sense. The first movie on the list that made Randy cry like a bitch.
Oh, God, yeah. It fucking hit different, this movie. M. Night Shyamalan hit different.
Yo, M. Night Shyamalan, he's showing up to good shit today, goddamn.
Goddamn.
Oh, fuck.
But yeah, Sixth Sense was just this movie that I wasn't looking that forward to. I was like, man, I know Bruce Willis dead. Like,
everybody knows.
Everybody knows Bruce Willis dead. Like,
the movie made a shit ton of money, and I'm like, I have no idea why. It's like an okay psychological drama thriller, I guess. And you watch, and I'm like, oh no, this is one of the best crafted scripts I've ever seen.
Oh, definitely. I mean, at first you're kind of like getting into the groove of it, being like, okay, well, where's the movie going? And then you start to realize that it's not about Bruce. It's not really. I mean, it is about, but it's not really about Bruce Willis being dead.
It's about Haley Joel Osment.
It's not really about the kid seeing dead people. It's about their struggle, about the kid's struggle with coming to terms with himself.
It's about his family.
His family. Yeah.
It's about
his mom coming to terms with it.
Understanding and love and. I'm sorry I keep interrupting you. No, I'm gonna keep doing it though. Just wanted you to know. I'm just trying my best, Randy.
It's just that like connection between the two of them and what it really means to them, and at the end of the movie, you're like, man, I didn't realize this is what the movie was about, and it's really starting to really hit me, And you motherfuckers, this is the twist ending that I actually care about the characters.
You fucking cucks.
You son of a bitch.
And also this movie, I want to go on record. Haley Joel Osment should have won a fucking Oscar.
Should have won fucking best actor for this shit.
For real.
And not even best supporting actor. No.
Best actor. Dude, great child actor.
Child actor never won like an Oscar for anything, right?
No. We had a child actor when I think it was Tatum O'Neal won for Paper Moon. That was back in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Peter Bogdanovich directed that movie, by the way.
Okay.
But Haley Joel Osment, I think he was nominated for best supporting actor. I believe so.
Oh damn.
Didn't win.
He deserved it though.
Should have, could have, would have.
I have no idea what he won against him. It could have been fucking Joe Pesci for all I know. But
well, here's the thing: Sixth Sense. It's one of those movies where great child performances, few and far between. I think everyone can agree about that.
Oh, definitely.
And he is so good. And this isn't like, oh, it's a kid's movie and he's a very good child actor. No. Like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone.
Yeah.
He's a really good actor in a kid's movie. So it's like, okay, he's the lead and he's starring in it and he's really good for his role. But okay, it's a kid's movie. Haley Joel Osment's like, I have to cry on screen. I have to get to this deep emotional place with, opposite, Colette, who is one of the best, like, actresses working now. And also I'm working opposite of Bruce fucking Willis. Also, acting opposite of Bruce fucking Willis.
Yeah, he has to steal the show from Bruce Willis.
And he steals the show, and he's like 10.
Yeah.
He's like fucking 10.
He fucking nails it.
He shows up, and he's like, yo, I'm going to show you what real acting is, Bruce. Sit the fuck down. I want to imagine it was that. I want to imagine that's how it was. Like, he
He's
showed up.
just so Chad.
Haley Joel Osment, 9 years old, shows up with the fucking wraparound
He's
Oakleys.
he's got the fucking pit vipers on.
He has the pit vipers on, rolls up in his fucking BMX bike with training wheels. And hops off that fucker. He's like, "Sup, Bruce? What's going on? We're in the scene today? You still memorizing lines? Don't worry, I got yours for you. I'll just do it by myself. Cool. Stand over there.
I'll feed you your lines.
Which is crazy because Bruce Willis is actually really good in this movie.
He is really good in this movie, but I mean, just for a child actor, just fucking nails it out of the park. Like something that I'm probably never gonna see again as good from a child actor. I mean, and it's not even close to a kid's movie. This is a movie where there's like hanging dead people and shit. Like there's
traumatic shit in this.
This
is borderline a horror film.
Yeah, it's like a psychological thriller, like almost.
Like Donnie Wahlberg fucking kills himself in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yes.
Like, not a kid's movie. This is a real fucking drama. And it's really, really good.
And it's just so impressive for what it is.
It really is.
Immaculate script.
Immaculate script. You watch it again and you're like, oh, I watched it. Oh, the twist blew my mind. Watch it again. Oh, now I see that's where all the setup for the twist is. And if you watch it a third time, you're like, oh, no, wait, this is just actually a really good family drama. And then you watch it again, you're like, no, this is a great family drama. Man, M. Night Shyamalan, what happened, man?
Yeah, what happened? What happened? Like,
was it The Village? Was it Lady in the Water? Was it Avatar? What happened, man? What happened?
If it wasn't the other two, it was definitely fucking Avatar.
Avatar, The Last Airbender.
I mean, with M. Night Shyamalan, he really showed promise with this movie. Like, if I only knew that he made this movie, I'd be like, I want to see what's next. What else did he make?
That was the spec. Everybody said was, Sixth Sense is on here because this guy might be the next Hitchcock.
Got chops.
He's got chops. Might be the next Hitchcock. Every movie he made after this made plenty of fucking money. Okay, yeah, no, we'll put Sex Sense on here. The porno parody.
Oh god.
They put the Sixth Sense on here, and he's like, you know what? You're probably going to be one of the most influential American directors of the next generation. We're going to put your movie on here. Same thing we do with Tarantino. Obviously, it's going to happen. Let's see what goes on. And then,
falls away.
Makes,
drops the ball.
But this movie, I don't think comes off. I think as a film, it's a great film.
I've heard the argument that, like, because M. Night Shyamalan didn't, like, live up to this movie afterwards, that it's like, oh, it should come off. No, the movie stands on its own. With or without the man.
But a movie that does stand on its own without the man is Blade Runner number 11, and by that man I mean Harrison Ford trying to act.
Terrible acting. Well, it's not terrible, but it's not
wooden.
Good.
It's wooden.
Wooden, yeah. Mahogany even.
It's a nice looking piece of wood, but it's
still just fucking wood.
It's just a block of wood, and that's the problem with Blade Runner. All right, Blade Runner is I believe you described it as it's the iceberg. On top it is just this sci-fi noir.
Yeah.
And then you dig deeper into it, and then it becomes a philosophy course that will stretch you your entire lifetime to understand.
I mean, like, the aesthetics of the movie are just stunning. The acting by everybody else that's not Harrison Ford, great. Especially the villains.
Rutger Hauer, Roy Batty.
As Roy Batty is just fucking great. Like, the symbolism of all this, like, the whole thing with the fucking dove at the end of the movie is
Randy's like, why the fuck is
fucking Kino?
Randy was sitting there and he's like, what the fuck's with the dove? And I'm like, dude, it's his soul. And you were like, this is fucking Chad.
Fucking Kino. Like, the themes of the movie, what it is to be human,
What's a soul?
What is a soul?
Is a soul memory? Is, like, your memory you? Is people's memory of you what lives on past you? Is that your soul?
Mm-hmm.
And the movie is deep and it is dense. This is the thickest chocolate mousse cake you could get at the bakery.
But then Harrison Ford kind of just shows up and, just kind of phones it in for most of the movie.
Yeah, and the voiceover doesn't help.
Oh, the voiceover fucking, like, makes it even better.
It makes it into a comedy sometimes, alright? See, that...
I can't believe Harrison Ford dropped a fucking N-bomb in this movie.
I know. And the other thing about the movie is, I cannot in good conscience put the movie any higher, because it took Ridley Scott 4 tries to get it right.
You mean the editing?
Yeah, because there's like 4 or 5 cuts in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie's really good.
It's visually stunning.
Visually stunning.
I fucking love the aesthetic of this movie.
What is it? Cyberpunk noir? You want to live in that shit?
Well, no, I don't want to live in it, but I want to watch more movies with it.
It's a gorgeous movie. Great acting. Great themes. It's also
amazing themes.
Amazing themes. It's a popcorn movie that just fucking
super
works.
Watchable. Super watchable.
Dummy watchable. And it's a movie I really wish we had more of. I mean, we have Blade Runner 2049, which you fuck with that movie.
I like that movie a lot.
Can we just... Randy's like, if we could just CGI Ryan Gosling into Blade Runner and just have that be the movie.
Just have him act as Harrison Ford.
We could get some pretty good deepfakes, Randy. Maybe.
You might be onto something. But can we have Ryan Gosling do the voiceover verbatim, though?
Oh, yes.
So we can
Wait, Randy, would it get better if you had Ryan Gosling doing Harrison Ford as Decker, and then for Rachel, it's Jake Gyllenhaal? Would that be your... No. Would that be your fan casting?
You're so dumb, I hate you.
What? You know you would enjoy it.
So dumb.
You know a movie that is not dumb, but is dummy long? Number 10. Ben-Hur. Blender. Yes, Blender. Judah Blender. But yeah, so Ben-Hur starring Charlton Heston. Oh epic, my god.
Epic, all capital letters.
This is Marvel's epic imprint from the 90s. It is extremely epic. It is
Shut the fuck up.
This movie is different.
It's big. It's huge. It's grandiose. It is massive, titanic of a movie. I mean,
and it fucking moves. It moves. It's 4 hours long, and I'm like, I could use another 20 minutes.
I could use a little bit more. I could use a little bit. I'm like scratching my arm, like
after
scratching my neck.
After that chariot race sequence, I'm like, oh no, can we get more of this?
Can I get a little bit more? Can you hook up with that? Like,
dude, that chariot race sequence is one of the best action sequences in cinema.
Yeah, and he's not fighting anything. It's not a direct conflict. They're like their wills are going at it,
And it is kind of a fight because they're baiting and switching and they're moving in and the horses are going and guys are fucking flying like not dummies. Those are dudes because I see him hit the ground and he squirms for a minute before a horse runs over him, and then they come and drag him off the field. How did people not die during this?
You just don't. Forehead, just live.
Just don't die.
Yeah, just amazing epic story, about a principled character, a good character.
Gets Randy's shit.
That gets my thing. And about him opposite, like his foil, like such a good villain.
Masala is one of the great villains of epic storytelling.
Yes, because they're so... It's like Ramses and Moses in like the Ten Commandments,
You had to rewatch that movie.
I rewatched Ten Commandments, yes, but it's that like rivalry between them. They're like thick as brothers. The two of them, but they have their differences.
They are two sides of the exact same coin.
Mm-hmm.
They are both principled, but their principles stand on opposite sides of the river.
Yes,
and the revenge is. This movie is also every frame is a painting.
Yeah,
like
they're so beautiful.
You could pause this movie at any point and be like, I can frame that and put it into a museum.
I mean, there's like the scene where Ben-Hur is meeting up with who I don't remember who he's meeting up with, but in the background is Jesus about to give the Sermon on the Mount.
Yes, I think he finally meets up with his family, and he's taking them to the city or whatever, and it's the crucifixion and Jesus dies and he cures his family of leprosy, and it's this beautiful thing. Also, when it's his birth and it's over Bethlehem and you see the stars and it's this big matte painting, and I'm like, it's molded in with the mountains. It's so beautiful.
It is just, this movie was a titanic undertaking of a movie. They literally carved that
they built the Colosseum in a mountain.
Or I guess it would be like a Circus Maximus or whatever.
Whatever.
They built a fucking racetrack in the mountain. Like they built that shit. It wasn't there before. They didn't reuse anything. No, they made that shit. And all those people are extras.
There ain't no CGI. There are people in there.
They're all people.
Dude, that's the thing. That's the thing about these eras of movies where there's a producer there smoking a fucking cigar and be like, so you're gonna tell me you need 1.2 million because you're gonna carve out a fucking arena for how long of a sequence? 10 minutes? I'll give you 1.5. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, fuck it. How many extras you need?
Do it live.
Do it live. And the movie is insane.
It's insane. It's huge. It's grandiose. It's got one of the best characters in all of cinema.
The score is great. Every actor is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
The only downside is... I'm trying to think of legitimate downside.
Like, love interest, she's pretty bland.
Yeah, I guess that's true. There's parts of the movie that are bland, but it's like, movies... That's probably the curse of movies of this era where, you had to be rather chaste in a lot
Chaste.
Chaste or whatever in terms of like love and things and intimacy. Sure. And it's a product of its time, but it's a gorgeous movie. But I do need to know before we go on, better than 10 Commandments? Because you had to do the rewatch.
I might have recency bias on 10 Commandments. I did literally just rewatch it. I think Ben-Hur's probably better.
It hurts to say.
It hurts. Actually, I felt that in my chest. Like, no meme. I felt that in my chest when I said that. But Ben-Hur's probably better than 10 Commandments. Because, I mean, Ben-Hur's a more interesting character than Moses in the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Masala is way more interesting
as a villain
than Ramses is.
Yeah, sorry, Yul Brynner. You get better than Magnificent Seven.
You get better. But yeah. But 10 Commandments deserves to be on this list.
Randy's like, we'll fucking find something.
We'll find a spot. Modern Times, get out of here. Bring 10 Commandments on here.
Get this shit on my list. Mm-hmm. But you know what shit got on this list? I was happy it got on this list with a nice canty and a side of fava beans. That's number 9, Silence of the Lambs. One of the best villains in all of cinema, Hannibal Lecter. One of the tightest scripts. Probably one of the most impressive scripts with how like quadruple meaning all the dialogue is.
Yes. We talked about how good the dialogue was in Pulp Fiction, but that's good on the surface. This is good below the surface. You get like quadruple levels deep, and Hannibal Lecter is telling you literally everything about the movie in the first 5 minutes of how to solve everything, and you don't even get it even if you rewatch the movie. You have to kind of like study the movie to understand all the different levels that they were on. And
Anthony Hopkins is playing...
Steals the show.
And
a little too much, honestly. He steals the show a little too much.
And Jodie Foster, who I understand...
Really good.
Really, really good. I don't like the accent, but she's one of the best like female protagonists.
This movie is one of the movies that, like, despite its flaws, it is just so good.
I would say this is a masterpiece territory.
Yeah.
This is definitely masterpiece territory, because this is like a masterpiece of a thriller. It is the best of its genre.
It's so surprising that the movie's here, and at this spot, at number, what are we at? 9? Number 9. And there are things I can say that like are bad about it. The things that I didn't like, but despite these things, it's just so good despite them. It is the double, triple meanings of everything that's said, the cinematography of the movie in most parts too, the feeling of like the closed claustrophobias, of the movie,
the voyeuristic feeling. You feel like you're Jodie Foster being objectified throughout the film,
being trapped in here with Hannibal Lecter. Being that even when he's behind bars, it feels like you're there with him, like he could get you at any moment. It's
so engrossing. This movie is so engrossing, and also it can get a little gross. He does eat people.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like just watch 7. It's not even close to like 7.
But you know what 7 is, and you know what Silence of the Lamb is? They're rated R. You know what's not rated R? All the President's Men. At number 8, because it's, what is it, Randy? This movie is what?
It's PG.
It is PG.
It's PG. It's so good.
That blew
so good.
For those who haven't listened to it, that was Randy's biggest, like, wait, this movie's what now?
This movie's PG?
I could show this in a school?
Yeah, you could show this to freaking 4th graders. I mean, I don't see why you would. I'd wait until, like, at least they're taking, like, U.S. history or something, and then show them this movie.
Robert Redford comes back. He's opposite Dustin Hoffman. They're so good. The acting is so good. The script's so good. It's such an enthralling conspiracy. This is a movie that just takes you on the ride of these guys just uncovering the Watergate conspiracy, and it's so compelling. And it's a movie that, in spite of itself, should be boring as shit.
It should. On paper, this movie looks like a complete clusterfuck. Like, why would I ever make this movie? Like, nobody cares. Like,
why am I watching a movie about 2 guys talking on phones for 90% of the movie, and there's no action?
Yeah.
None of them get into a brisk jog throughout the movie.
They get a brisk jog. That's about it, though.
Yeah, a brisk jog. They're not running from anybody.
No.
They're catching an elevator or something.
Or some shit like that, you know?
And it's a movie that has such respect for its source material.
Didn't they, like, recreate, like, a whole floor of, like, the Washington Post or something like that?
They did, because they weren't allowed to film in there, so they just remade it one for one. On, like, 2 sound stages, and it's fucking impressive, because they fucking did it, and all the extras work in here is fantastic.
Oh,
the movie feels so real, and also sleazy 70s suits are the best things in cinema.
They look so good.
Can we bring it back?
I love them, but
can we bring back sleazy 70s suits?
I mean, the themes of the story, which, I mean, it's hard to get themes in your story when it's a true story, because you kind of just are forced with what's the source material, but I feel like they haven't come across really well about that, like, distrust of the government, about that need to find the next step, you know?
The power of journalism, power of the truth, you know? Journalism is a weapon, you know? Use it responsibly.
And, like, that drive that the characters have. It just hits so well. And they have such a good dynamic, the two of them do.
They're so watchable. Is Robert Redford low-key become one of your favorites on this list?
He's really good. I think Dustin Hoffman's probably a little bit better in this movie, specifically because he gets a lot more to act with, because he's like the more frantic one.
He also gets to be a little bit sleazier.
Yes, definitely.
He gets a lot more.
He's got more
jokes.
wiggle room.
Yeah. And this is a movie about, like, fun wiggle room. And because these guys are working within the rules, within the law, but they're trying every way to, like, bump against the walls to see what they can get. And they're uncovering a real conspiracy that led to the impeachment of Richard Nixon. Also, or led to him to resign. I don't know if he was, like, straight impeached.
Well, they were gonna impeach him. But it's also, like, them bumping up against, like, the fact that it's like a true story, you know, so they're getting that like artistic wiggle room while still telling the true story, and they don't get out of line. It's perfectly reasonable where they're at. I mean, even stuff that seems more fantastical, like Deep Throat, that's a real guy.
I was 100% a real guy. And when you would think the movie would take the bait and become more actiony and become more movie, it is responsible enough to not do it. When Robert Redford's leaving the parking garage and the car like speeds out and he stops for a second and they catch eyes, and then he just turns and walks away slowly and the car goes the other way, and it's like that. If this was any other director, any other movie, any other writer, that would have led to like a 10-minute like chase sequence.
Yeah, chase sequence with a shootout and like all this shit.
But the movie is so responsible. It's so good, and it's such an engaging watch. It's a movie that, in spite of what it is, it should be boring as shit, but it is never boring. And another movie that's very engaging and is never boring is Saving Private Ryan, number 7 on the list.
So true. Very engaging and never boring.
Never boring. And it is a movie that takes liberties with the truth, but does it to tell a great story.
I don't think it takes that much liberty, though. Like, it is historically inaccurate in some ways, but I don't think in any way that's, like, too overly detrimental.
Yeah, I mean, because this was the most recent movie we've watched for
we just watched it.
And I want to say this movie is one of those movies that watching it is a masterpiece of a director's work. Like, Spielberg, he's a director that I think a lot of people have gripes about. Because he's schmaltzy. Okay, he's
yeah, he really tries to appease the crowd, you know. He doesn't think of like the.
He's not an auteur. He's a studio guy.
Yeah, you know, he just wants to make some money and go home, you know.
But
he does it so well.
He does it so damn well.
He does it so well that you can't really complain about it, right? Like
he has one of the best war sequences, one of the best battle sequences in film with the Normandy Beach sequence. And it
fucking nails it.
Nails the shit out of it. It is so good. And people forget, it's like, no, there's more movie after that. And the rest of the movie, it snaps your soul in half in some points. It's an amazing action film at other points. It's a poignant anti-war film. People forget, this movie, I think we would agree, is an anti-war film.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's an anti-war film.
but no one really remembers. They're like, oh no, it's that patriotic God bless America, let's beat the Nazis. It's really not.
It really isn't.
It's like war is fucking hell. People you love will die, and it's hard, and
I mean,
we're sending people over there.
It's got one of the most important single scenes of like any movie where Wade dies.
Oh,
Like, I honestly, out of all of these movies that we've talked about, or probably are going to talk about,
in terms of singular, important, powerful scenes for their works.
Yeah, this movie all hinges on that one scene, and it does it flawlessly. Everything changes with that one scene. Everything before it leads up into it, which it doesn't seem like it should, right? Like, the Normandy Beach scene should be taken on its own. Right?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But it leads into this. The camaraderie, the brotherhood of them being able to survive something like that, but then it gets taken away from them later.
It really, really is just an amazing movie. Also, I think we've said this a bunch of times already, but in terms of watchability, very watchable.
Very watchable.
Very, very watchable.
Also a star-studded cast.
Oh my god, dude. This movie... I had to put on some sunglasses. The stars were shining so much. Jesus Christ. Like, because we got
Everybody gives a great performance, too.
We got Tom Hanks, Vin Diesel, Adam Goldman. We have Matt Damon. Matt Damon's in here as like basically
He's
like
only
a
like the
tiny
last 20 minutes or
last
something.
20 minutes. Nathan Fillion is in here for a scene, and he steals his scene. Like, the movie is great, is so good, and it also shows it's like, okay, yeah, we get it, Spielberg. You're really good at your job.
Okay, Spielberg. I understand. Spielberg, I understand.
But like a lot of movies, I don't know how long it'll stay here at number 7. I don't know if it'll drift down as we go on. But
I don't know either, because honestly, sometimes I look back at it and I'm like, maybe a little up. Then I'm like, well, I look back and maybe a little down, maybe a little up. It's one of these movies where it's like, am I really gonna have it this low? This low being number 7. It's not that low.
Not even close.
It's like, but I mean, just overall, just a fantastic movie, a great movie. I'm not even sure if I would say enjoyable to watch.
It's very violent, and it's very
also
in your
because
face with it.
It does point out the fact that that even you, the audience, you can't just pick. These were people that died, type of thing. But it's such a good movie, and I would recommend it everybody to watch it. Oh, we've gotten to that point. We have now hit I recommend everybody watch this movie.
Everybody should watch Saving Private Ryan. Another movie that everyone should have watched, but obviously didn't because it failed at the box office, and that is The Shawshank Redemption at number 6. And this...
actually beating out Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, yeah. But deserved. And the next like few movies, 6, 5, 4, they're all coin flip interchangeable movies for their spots.
Yeah, I would say,
because these are movies that are arguably like some of the best, most important films we've watched so far. And Saving Private Ryan is it's like a perfect movie. It really is a perfect movie. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, there's nothing overtly wrong with it to where you could actually like take it down a whole letter grade. They just don't add up.
They just don't. I mean, there's so much chew here. There's religious allegory. There's themes of the dehumanizing factor to the prison system. How like hope is the most powerful thing you can have in prison in any situation.
Yeah.
And it has like Christ allegory, and the cast is so good.
The cast is amazing at their job.
It's so good. And the movie,
Andy Dufresne is like a great character.
Probably one of the best protagonists.
He's so reserved, but you understand what he's doing. You understand what he's about, but he doesn't have to say everything. And
the supporting cast of Morgan Freeman.
Morgan Freeman gets to say it all for Andy Dufresne.
Damn right. The movie, it surprises me that it did so well when it came out, but the movie's a masterpiece. It literally is a masterpiece. It is one of the greatest films ever made.
Yeah, it's definitely top 100 right here.
Yeah, it definitely makes that list.
Definitely, 100%. Does everything that's doing immaculately, just so well.
The only... I'm trying to come up with any gripe. Maybe the ending gets a little bit too heartfelt. Maybe there's not enough like snap your soul in half moments in the movie. I mean, there's a few.
There's a few. Maybe maybe a little less rapey. We
maybe
can
a
have the
little less
movie
rapey.
be a little less rapey.
No, you need that rape in there. You need that because one, it's in the story, and also it's it really is like he has to go through hell to get his redemption.
It does emphasize that this is prison.
This is the worst thing you can go through. Another thing about the worst thing people can go through is our number 5 on the list, Sophie's Choice.
Oh, so Sophie's Choice. That's probably worse.
This is the movie that Randy has lobbied and will carry with him all the way to the top if he can. Meryl Streep is so good.
Meryl Streep's performance in this movie is ungodly. It is just so unbelievably good.
It's a documentary, and Meryl Streep is Sophie, and we're watching Sophie.
We talked about how James Cagney carried
Yankee
Doodle Dandy, but Meryl Streep as Sophie just blows that out of the water. Like, not even fucking close. Like, I mean, she's just so unbelievably good in the few scenes where she really gets to shine. But that those scenes where she really gets to shine, where she's like the focus of the whole scene, those would be really great. But they're supported by all the scenes in which she gets to be the other side of Sophie, to be the part of Sophie that wants to have a fun, eccentric life.
The supporting cast here is fantastic.
Great.
Meryl Streep, it shows why she's one of the greatest actors to have ever done it.
Mm-hmm.
The story is this long kind of melodrama romance tragedy about the Holocaust. It has a poignant messaging to it. I have big gripes with fucking Stangos. Tennessee Williams voiceover throughout the movie.
Tennessee Williams voiceover.
I mean, I got my issues with the movie, but I can't disparage it. The movie is great.
It's great.
This is a movie where I'm yeah. These are, because everything from Saving Private Ryan up, so 7 to 1 are, no, stop what you're doing and watch it. And Sophie's Choice is definitely stop what you're doing and watch it movie.
Definitely watch Sophie's, if nothing else, for Meryl Streep's unbelievable performance in this movie.
Just
Oscar well deserved.
Just put your stuff down and give it a watch. You'll like it.
It'll probably snap your soul in half, but I mean
that end still snaps your soul in half. You think about it a little bit too hard.
It's so good. I mean, Sophie's Choice. The main thing that this movie is about, spoiler alert, is fucking rough as hell.
It's hard.
And it existing by itself gives this movie enough chew. And I mean, the movie has chew otherwise, but just that one thing existing by itself gives the movie enough chew for decades of discussion.
But a movie that has influenced decades of discussion, and that is number 4, Easy Rider.
How did Easy Rider get to number 4?
Influence. Think about it.
Coming up fast.
This movie is it's an artsy biker acid western movie. It is influenced so much cinema.
It's just one of these things where if you were to describe this movie to somebody, they would be like, "There's no way it's that good."
No,
it's
not even a little good.
I think this kind of predisposition, this hampering of the movie before you get into it, makes the fact that it overcomes all of these obstacles just so much better. The movie is better because it has to overcome these obstacles. And
it's a movie that is very flawed. The movie is roughly put together. You can tell it was a low budget feature. You can tell that, okay, these actors are doing their level best, but they're on the come up. Granted, Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper are really good in their roles.
Really good in this movie.
Really, really good in their roles. And Jack Nicholson.
Steals the show.
Jack Nicholson's job is to show up and steal the show no matter what he's in.
Mm-hmm. Well, he's there in this movie to show up, steal the show, and then promptly die.
Yeah, and the movie is the perfect zeitgeist movie. It is the zeitgeist movie. And it also shows up and blasts in probably the greatest era of American cinema, the new Hollywood of the 1970s.
Yeah, it cracks it wide open.
And it's a movie where it's still incredibly watchable, even though it's really weird.
Yeah, you think acid biker western, you're like, that's not going to be a watchable movie.
It's going to be the dumbest shit on the planet.
But it is so watchable. Even the parts where they get kind of far out there, man, and they're tripping on acid,
in a graveyard during Mardi Gras.
Yeah, still totally watchable.
And the ending is so poignant.
Mm-hmm.
And it comments on Vietnam. It comments on counterculture. It comments on the establishment. It comments on racism, bigotry.
The ending being poignant is also really it's another thing about this movie where it's like an obstacle that the movie overcomes and it's better for it. The movie ends strangely and abruptly.
It just stops.
Well,
somebody gets shot and it's over.
Yeah, and it's somehow people just get shot and the movie ends, and that's somehow poignant. That's somehow like a great commentary. Like it's one of these things that just at first it doesn't make sense, but when you actually watch it, when you actually understand what the movie's about, you're like, wow, like eye-opening moment, just like an epiphany. You're like,
this movie is the end of the hippies. It's the end of the 60s. It's the end of optimistic America.
Yeah.
And it is one of the best movies. This is definitely one of the greatest films ever made. Just about for American culture. This movie is there.
It just hits a nail right on the head. It just completely nails what it's going for, and I mean, it just overcomes all of these things to make itself better. You know, it's got like these like 3 or 4 minute long like biking montages where they play like an entire song, and you're like, this has got to be shit, right? But no, it's great. It just fuels the themes of the movie. It fuels the feeling of the movie.
It's the journey, man, and it's finding the American dream. It's finding America. And, you know, they find America, and it's
not all it's cracked up to be.
Man, that got sad. Another movie that got kind of sad at the end is number 3, Do the Right Thing, which...
Do the right thing, just trucking along here.
Trucking along. This is one of those movies where people can agree this is one of the greatest American films ever made, right? Wait, can people agree on that?
I mean, yeah.
You're being genuine.
Yeah.
Because it is probably one of the most encompassing, mature, and detailed takes on racism in America. And it's a movie that is not shy, and it has style, and it has substance. And the only disparaging thing I can give on it is that Spike Lee, I don't think you should have starred in your own movie.
I don't think you should have starred in your own movie. Your acting is really not that great. Although, you know, it's one of these things where arguments can be made that he's not supposed to be such a likable guy.
He's really not. And the other thing is, the movie, sometimes it has a stage play quality to it. Where... okay, that's a little weird, and it's off-putting if you don't pick up on it. But once you pick up on it, then it's like, okay, I see what you're going for. It's a movie that has a lot of layers to it.
Yeah.
And you really have to, like, bite this movie down one layer at a time as you go along. And you'll find characters in this movie that you fall in love with, and find characters that you absolutely hate. And you as you bite the layers and you understand why, the movie reflects back onto you as an audience.
But even the characters that you don't like, you can get a sense of understanding for why they are the way they are.
Yeah.
You know, they want to express themselves, you know, however they can, you know. They feel that they need to get out there and express themselves.
It's the complexity of humanity. You know, people are complicated, and this movie is like, yes, people are very complicated. You could be a bum who, you know, ran out on your family, but still be like the most level-headed and kindest person in the film. That's literally DeMayer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a drunk bum, but he's the kindest and most thoughtful person of the film. And you could be like, you know, Mookie, our main character, who is on the path to be hashtag, you know, worst dad of the year. But, you know, he's got hustle, he's got drive, you know. And they have Sal, and the movie is a movie about all these characters in this neighborhood, and it's a beautiful look at American society and our culture. Good movie.
It's a great movie.
Great movie. Masterpiece.
I would say so. It's not the most watchable of the movies we've talked about.
Yeah, this is probably the only one I'd say. This is a harder watch, I guess.
Yeah, like, if you were to give this, out of the movies we have up here in our top 7, if you were to give this movie a pass, I wouldn't fault you for it. But it's the only one.
Even then, I don't think I can let you get a pass on this one.
I would say it's okay to give a pass. You should watch it.
Absolutely.
But you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah.
You should, though.
Do you think it's just a hard watch for some of the content, or because of, like,
no, not so much
what's
for
going
the content. Not so much, like...
Is it the filmmaking?
It's just the filmmaking. Like, it's not that visually appealing. It without really getting into it, it's kind of bland. But like that's only at the very surface level, you know, the very just kind of put it on, turn your brain off and watch it. Can't do that with this movie.
This is a movie you have to watch with like a glass of wine and kind of study as it goes along, because this movie
you gotta pay attention.
A lot.
Yeah.
But another movie that gives you a lot.
You gotta pay attention.
You gotta pay attention. Spike Lee will probably hate us for putting this above his movie, but I don't care because he's one guy and these are 12, and that's 12 Angry Men at number 2 on our list. So the story and performance, that's all you need. That's 12 Angry Men.
This is all you need to make one of the best films of all time.
Great story, great performances, that's all you need, and this movie shows it. You need anything else, you're not as good. Bro,
this movie kind of just like lays it out on the table, being like, this is all you need to make a great movie. You know?
Here's all 12 inches of it. Like, there you go. There's the fucking movie.
If you claim you need more than this to make a great movie, then you're not a good you're not a great filmmaker then. If you claim you need more than this, you don't got what it takes.
Sidney Lumet, first outing as a director, makes 12 Angry Men. Bruh.
Just fucking nails it out of the park. I mean, just Kino, just so good. Just
the dialogue in this is fucking, oh my god, it's delicious. Henry Fonda, Lee J. Cobb is one of the most underrated actors of all time. And every time I watch him in this movie, where he's, you know, whoa, he's yelling and shit, and he's being angry, and he's like, you know, of course the kid fucking did it, because he's opposite Henry Fonda, and because it's Henry Fonda, you know he's right. It's Henry Fonda.
He's Henry Fonda.
Henry Fonda don't tell lies, all right? We've been over this. But you're watching, and I'm like, I could watch Lee J. Cobb rant forever.
Oh, their performances are so good. Everybody.
So compelling.
Everybody in this movie, their performances are so good. I mean, like, even thinking back about the movie, you forget that it all takes place in the one room. You think back about the movie, and the way they paint the pictures of what they're talking about is so well that you can imagine stuff like the lady looking through the train car.
You can imagine like the indents on her nose, even though we never see her face. The sad old man in the beat up suit trying to look his best. Oh,
they're so descriptive, like a book. You know, but it's just done so well. It transcends the medium in that way, where it is so descriptive as to make you imagine things that aren't happening, like a book, but it's a visual medium. It's a movie. You know, you think everything should be happening on screen, but it doesn't need to. It doesn't need to do that.
And the movie also has the next level onto it. You know, because big theme guys, right? You know, this movie have a lot of shoe. Yeah, we love the shoe. We love to, you know, after the podcast is over, we think about it, and it's like, man, that movie had a lot to think about. Oh, what's this say? This movie is like, what? Has one big, fat one, just slams that fucker onto the counter and says, this is what we're fucking talking about. What is doubt? How much is reasonable doubt?
What is reasonable doubt? What is reasonable to doubt?
You know, it's not truth. That's what people get. It's not about.
It's not about the truth.
What is reasonable doubt? Where is the line before we can send somebody to prison, to death row? You know, what prejudices do we bring into this? Can we be all devoid of all our prejudices when we make decisions, passing the judgment over to others?
Yeah. How difficult is it to set aside your prejudices, set aside your bias to judge somebody's life? Some people, it's not that difficult.
Some people, it's real fucking difficult.
Really fucking difficult.
It's not even something they even realize.
Yeah, they don't think about it. You know, they don't think about. It could be anything. It could be the fact, you know, I got tickets to a ball game later today. I gotta get out of here. And
it's like, I got a business meeting tomorrow morning. I gotta get in bed early.
And that expeditiousness, that speed, is all the bias it takes. You didn't have anything against the person's race. You didn't have anything against like
their age, their
gender, anything. But just the fact that I got tickets for a ball game.
You valued the Yankees over a man's life.
But you don't think about it that way. But it's the way it happens. It's the way these things go, you know. And there's, you hope when you're on that stand that there's somebody like Henry Fonda in there to make sure everybody.
I'm so convinced he's a plant.
He's a plant
by the defense. Henry Fonda went in there. He's like, son, Don't worry, I'm Henry Fonda. Everything I say is the truth, and you are innocent. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. But the thing is that he never claims that the kid's innocent.
Never does. He just wants to talk about it. He doesn't want to just send a kid off without being sure.
He makes sure to be like, I'm not saying he didn't do it. I'm
just
saying,
bring me something that I can't refute.
Yeah, tell me something that I can't refute. Tell me something that there is enough evidence on. Tell me something that I can't be like, well. Although the only thing to bring down the movie is the pocket knife.
The pocket knife?
It's a little Deus Ex Machina.
Oh, come on.
It's a little bit. I mean, this movie is it's like nigh perfect,
Randy, come on. It is a great, like, oh, dun,
yeah,
dun,
it
dun.
is a fucking badass scene where he's just like this?
Bam! I picked up that knife down the street, round the corner from this very courthouse.
Mm-hmm.
You saying that knife's a one of a kind? I say, it's probably a dozen of them in this city. How do you know that is that kid's knife? How do you know that the killer didn't pick it up somewhere? I love that movie.
Just fucking, whoa, like, yeah, it's just one of those big, like, huge reveal moments in, like, any movie, and it does it so well.
And this is something I want to do with this movie, because I've heard people talk about it, where you watch the movie, and every time you watch it, you follow a different character. Like, you just focus on one character as the movie goes on, and apparently it's like a transcendent experience, because you just follow all these different actors and how they embody each of their roles, and it's amazing. Because
they all do so much for their own characters,
and some of them are like, they get so few lines, but you know so much about them. Like,
I mean, this isn't just the Henry Fonda show.
Which, by the way, it's not just the Henry Fonda show. He was the fucking, like, exec producer. He was the money here. It's the only movie he produced, and he was like, you know what? I'll take the back seat. I'll let him take the scene for a minute, because I'm Henry Fonda. I'm the movie star. I'll be fine. And then I'm watching him like, Henry Fonda, I don't even know if you're the best actor in this scene right now. Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, sometimes, yeah, the show gets stolen away from him, but it's just such a great performance all around. Great directing, great
script, great camera work for such a simple movie. Piss simple. It looks like a bad Twilight Zone set.
It looks like it could have been a Twilight Zone episode. Like, but it transcends that,
This is great cinema. But you know what else is? This is the only film I think we've come across that is pure cinema.
Pure cinema.
Pure cinema. Number one.
And the Jean-Luc Godard voice.
Jean-Luc Godard voice. Number one. The kino as if cinema. This is Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans by F.W. Murnau. Won the first Oscar. It is by far the greatest movie we've watched so far.
Yes. It stands head and shoulders above these other movies.
Pure visual storytelling. It's a movie that does not have a principal character that Randy can fuck with.
Yeah, it doesn't have like this principled character. Like the characters are flawed, deeply flawed, but the way they're portrayed has you like feel for them. You understand their flaws, you know why.
They're so human.
It's a silent movie. Like, it's not like they get to like have a 20-minute monologue on why they are the way they are.
Bruh, our list is bookended by two silent films. Modern Times is the least interesting film we've watched so far.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put it like that. Least interesting.
Yeah.
Sunrise, silent film, most interesting. This
most
movie...
interesting.
And it's beautiful. For a silent movie, there's no color in this movie. There are scenes in this that are beautiful.
Just gorgeous filmmaking.
And there's some camera tricks where I'm like, oh, that tells me everything. Everything about this guy. He's sitting in the bed, and then you have the weird dissolves in where it's the harlot, I'm the hoe from the city,
yes.
Like caressing his face or whatever. But it's like a superimposition onto the scene, and it's like I'm in his head. I understand so much, and
the editing is beautiful.
It's so good, and it's a movie. It's the first like movie where score is sunk to the track or whatever.
Yeah.
And like the music comes together and it tells the story as it goes along. It's the perfect combination of image and sound without dialogue. There's no dialogue. It's still silent film. Title cards, everything. But this movie is perfect cinema.
It's just perfectly encapsulates that visual medium. This is the movie that it's like, no, this is why we need movies. This is why the visual medium is a good thing.
This is why this needs to exist.
Yeah, this is why this needs to exist. We can put our flag right here and be like, this is why everything that came after it needed to come after it. It's hard to talk about too because the movie is pretty simple in its premise. Man has mistress and wife. Man decides that I want to be with the mistress, maybe kill wife. Kind of decides at the last second, maybe me like wife more than mistress. Maybe me actually love wife, but wife kind of know I was about to get her.
And now man has to reconcile this and goes to city to try and make love happen again.
And it's just done so beautifully. And like his like regret, his like heartbrokenness and like what he's put his wife through. And you know, her like inability like to reconcile it right away, her fear of him, you know, could this happen again, but the ability to eventually to mend that broken heart.
The power of love, that's what the movie is. It's about love, and it's such a human thing. The movie is about like the human element, like how powerful is love in this kind of relationship. You know, he was about to do the, you know, the most the most cardinal of sins, and what can love do against something like that? And it's told so beautifully. And the other thing, there's no fucking dialogue. The actors are pantomiming basically, and they're some of the most engaging actors of this list.
Yes, and they don't overdo it like what happens a lot in silent movies or whatever, where they have to really act up, like act
they're
like
playing
they're theater.
They're playing to the back row.
Yeah. But no, it is just so subtle and so engaging and so understandable. You know, you get what they're saying. You get what they're doing without them having to actually say anything, without them actually having to use that to convey meaning to you. They can just use their appearance. They can use the visual medium to convey all the meaning to you that you need.
As the adage has gone, show, don't tell. This movie shows. It don't tell.
Yeah, it shows, and it shows so well.
I cannot wait for us to get on to the rest of this list, because Sunrise, this movie, I have no idea how it's way down in the 80s.
No, it's shooting way up. Rocket to the sky. Like, this movie stands so head and shoulders above all these other movies, which is just so surprising. Because when we first went to watch it, I did not have that high of expectations from this movie.
We're sitting down, we're gonna watch a silent movie. Oh, it's gonna look pretty, but it's gonna be a silent movie.
Yeah, it's gonna be really old. It's gonna like have like a really outdated themes, and you know, it's gonna have like terrible acting.
It's
none of these things.
It might be a comedy. It'll try and get a gag, and it won't land. And because they say silent comedies can still work, and I'm just like, oh god, oh, it's a drama. Oh no! And then
this movie nails it
every step of the way.
Every step of the way. This movie is the one movie where, I mean, I'm sure 80% of people, 90% of people haven't heard of this movie at all.
Oh, I'd be easy to say 95% of people.
Yeah, you need to see this movie. You need to see it. It's kind of hard to get a hold of.
Dude, physical copies are hard to get, but you can find them on YouTube. Just Google in Sunrise: A Song of Two Humans, F.W. Murnau, 1927. Combinations of that.
This movie, it is beautiful.
If you love movies, if you love cinema, if you love flicks, watch it. It all starts here. It is great.
Speaking of starting here, it's time to end it here.
It is time to end it. You got the segue this time.
You're welcome.
Boy, you got a segue. I didn't have to cringe my way through it. But that is it for this milestone number 3. We
got a long one here.
We did.
We might have to reformat these. To just list maybe.
We should list probably like once we get to the next one, because that'll be 40. That's gonna be a long one. We'll probably actually only list like 20 of them.
Yeah,
make life easier.
Or we won't discuss ones that
are below X number.
Won't discuss ones that are old to the list. We'll only discuss the ones that are new to the list and where they rank.
Sure, we'll do that one. But we'll figure that out next time. But next week we're gonna be watching another Kubrick film. We're gonna be watching one of the good ones, one of the real good ones.
One I haven't seen in a long time.
I think you're gonna like it, and that is A Clockwork Orange. Stanley Kubrick film, crime film, sci-fi dystopian film. This movie's fucking great.
You're gonna fucking jerk yourself off just thinking about watching it.
I read the book.
This man read the fucking book.
I did. I read the book, and I'm excited to watch it, and I can't wait for the next batch because we're gonna get into the 60s here, and
yeah, there's a lot of good shit here.
Okay, yeah, just throwing it out there, everybody. We're gonna get Clockwork Orange next week. Tootsie right after that. Unforgiven. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Raiders of the Lost Ark,
which I haven't seen.
She blows my mind every day. African Queen, Network,
which I'm looking forward to seeing.
The movie that everybody says, oh, it just predicted the future. Oh, that's cool. Then we're gonna get Cabaret. Then we're gonna get American Graffiti. Then we're gonna get Solon's Travels, and then that's our 60s. But it's gonna be a strong 60s.
They're gonna be strong. I'm definitely looking forward to Network. I hear Tootsie is like an amazing performance.
Every time they do one of those actors polls, it ranks like super high in like the top 5 of every actors poll of greatest films of all time.
I've heard it's like always like top 2.
Something. It's something crazy like that. But if you wanted to keep up with that and come back next week, listen to more of our episodes, you can find us anywhere you can get podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere and everywhere. And you can also find us at the YouTube channel, The Film Vault. That is The Film Vault on YouTube. Comment, subscribe, tell us we suck. Tell us we're awful or awesome. I don't really care. But watch Sunrise, because that movie's great.
Yeah, just watch if nothing else, just watch Sunrise. Sunrise, amazing movie.
But yeah, Randy, so any last words on this 2-hour recording?
This 2-hour recording, get some sleep.
Good night, everybody. Have a good week.